the heart of a peaceful kingdom, nestled between tall mountains and thick forests, the people lived in harmony. The kingdom was beautiful, with green pastures and rivers that sparkled under the sunlight. The people worked hard in the fields, tending to their crops and animals. They lived simple lives, but they were content. The ruler of this kingdom was King Alden, a strong, fair man who had earned the love of his people. His wife, Queen Elara, was known for her kindness and beauty. King Alden and Queen Elara had a small, humble palace that sat on the edge of the great forest. Though not as grand as some other palaces, the castle was filled with warmth and comfort. The queen loved to walk in the gardens, surrounded by the flowers and tall trees. The king often joined her, and together they would watch the sunsets, talking about their hopes and dreams. But there was something missing in their lives. Despite their love for each other, Queen Elara was unable to bear a child. They had been married for many years, and the queen's heart grew heavier with each passing season. She spent hours in the garden, longing for the day when she would hold a child of her own. King Alden, while supportive, also felt the pain of not having an heir. He longed for a son or daughter who could carry on the family name and rule the kingdom after him. The kingdom had a tradition, one that had been in place for generations. Only the royal bloodline could rule, and without an heir, the throne would eventually be claimed by another family. King Alden feared that without a child, his family's rule would end, and the kingdom would be taken from them. But he did not know how to ease his wife's sorrow. Queen Elara spent her days feeling sad, walking among the flowers, lost in thought. Her longing for a child was deep, and no matter how many times she visited the healer, no solution was found. She felt like something was missing, a void in her life. Sometimes she would watch other mothers with their children, and her heart would ache with longing. "I want to give you a child, my love," she often said to King Alden, "but I can't. I'm so sorry." King Alden would always hold her, gently brushing her golden hair away from her face. "It is not your fault, my dear. We have each other. That is enough." But even the king's comforting words could not take away the sadness in the queen's eyes. She would often find herself sitting alone in the garden, lost in her thoughts, thinking about what could have been. She dreamed of a child she could call her own, someone to raise, love, and teach. One day, after visiting the healer once more, Queen Elara sat alone by a small pond in the garden, tears falling from her eyes. "Perhaps it's just not meant to be," she thought to herself. "Perhaps I am not meant to be a mother." But even though she thought this, deep inside, a small part of her refused to give up hope. She wanted to find a way. For the sake of her husband, for the future of their kingdom, and for herself, she could not give up. On one of her walks through the village, Queen Elira met an old woman who was known for her wisdom. The woman had no home and no family, yet she always seemed to know things about people that no one else could know. Her weathered face was lined with age, but her eyes were sharp, filled with a strange light. "Your Majesty," the woman said as the queen passed by, "I know of your sorrow, and I believe I can help you." The queen stopped in her tracks, surprised that the woman knew about her struggles. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice filled with curiosity. The old woman looked at her with a knowing smile. "I can help you, but you must trust me. Will you do that?" Queen Elira hesitated, unsure of what this stranger was offering. But there was something about the woman's calm demeanor, the way she spoke, that made Elira feel she could trust her. "I will trust you," the queen said quietly. "Please, tell me how you can help." The old woman leaned closer and spoke softly. "There is a way for you to have the child you desire, but it is not something to be taken lightly. It will require you to follow my instructions carefully." The queen listened intently, her heart swelling with hope. "What must I do?" The woman explained that there was a magical crown, one that would reveal the true heir to the throne. The queen would need to protect the crown, but no one else could see or touch it. The woman handed the queen a small wooden box. Inside was a delicate crown, shining with gold and tiny jewels. "Keep this safe," the woman said, "and wait. The child will come when the time is right." Though Queen Elira was uncertain about the woman's words, something inside her told her to believe. She promised to follow the woman's instructions, to protect the crown with her life, and wait for the magic to reveal the heir. She hid the crown in a secret place within the palace, telling no one about it. Every day, she would check on it, but nothing seemed to happen. She began to feel doubt creeping into her heart. Maybe the woman was wrong. Maybe the crown would not work. But the queen continued to wait, holding on to the hope that something would change. One morning, as Queen Elira awoke from her sleep, she went to check on the crown as she always did. This time, she gasped in surprise. The crown had grown, becoming larger and more beautiful than before. It now fit perfectly on her head, as if it had chosen her. With a mixture of excitement and disbelief, Elira placed the crown carefully back in its box. She knew, deep in her heart, that this was the sign she had been waiting for. The heir was coming. She immediately told King Alden. The king, thrilled with the news, promised to protect their child with all his might. Weeks later, one night, as the queen was walking near the gates of the palace, she saw something that made her heart skip a beat. A baby was lying on the ground, wrapped in a soft blanket. The golden crown was placed gently on the baby's head. The queen gasped and rushed to pick up the child. She looked around, but there was no one in sight. Who had left this baby here? The child was perfect, healthy, with a peaceful expression on her face. "This is our child," Queen Elira whispered, tears streaming down her face. She took the baby into the palace, where King Alden was waiting. The king, seeing the child, smiled with joy. "Our heir," he said, his voice thick with emotion. They named the baby Marilla, and the people of the kingdom rejoiced. The long-awaited heir had arrived. Queen Elira and King Alden raised Marilla with love and care. She was a beautiful child, and as she grew, she became a kind, strong young girl. The people of the kingdom loved her, seeing in her the future of their land. Marilla was very close to her mother, who taught her everything she knew about being kind and just. King Alden taught her about the kingdom, the history of their people, and the importance of fairness. Marilla grew wise beyond her years, and she was beloved by all who met her. But not everyone was kind to her. When Marilla was 10 years old, the king married again. His new wife, Queen Selina, was beautiful and confident. She had long, flowing black hair, and her eyes sparkled with ambition. She was a woman of great charm, but underneath her beauty, there was something cold and calculating. At first, Queen Selina was kind to Marilla, but it soon became clear that she did not like the attention Marilla received. Selina wanted the throne for herself and saw Marilla as an obstacle. The young princess was too loved, too perfect in the eyes of the people. Selina began to treat Marilla with coldness, ordering her to do tasks that were beneath her status. Marilla, though hurt by this treatment, kept her head high. She had learned from her mother that kindness and patience were the greatest virtues a ruler could have. She continued to help the people of the kingdom, even as Selina's jealousy grew. As the years went by, Queen Selina's jealousy grew stronger. She had married King Alden for his power, and she was determined to make sure no one would take it away from her. Every time she looked at Marilla, she saw a threat, an heir to the throne that the people already loved. Marilla, even at a young age, was admired by everyone in the kingdom. She had inherited her mother's beauty and her father's wisdom. People would stop and greet her as she walked through the village, praising her kindness and the way she always helped others. Selina couldn't stand it. She would often scowl when she saw Marilla, angry that her stepdaughter was more beloved than she was. One day, Selina spoke to the king. Why do the people love her so much? She is just a child. I am the queen now. It is me they should look up to. King Alden, though still loving towards his wife, could see the bitterness in her voice. He tried to calm her, but deep down, he knew that Selina's jealousy was becoming dangerous. He loved Marilla and wanted her to be happy, but he could not deny that Selina's power in the palace was growing. Over time, King Alden began to spend more and more time with Selina, leaving Marilla feeling neglected. She had always been close to her father, but now she noticed that he was distant, as if he didn't have the same love for her that he once had. Marilla missed the times when they would walk through the gardens together or talk about the future of the kingdom. Selina began to use this to her advantage. She would speak to the king, pretending to be caring and supportive, while secretly undermining Marilla at every turn. She would tell Marilla that she was not fit to be queen, calling her a child who knows nothing. She even ordered Marilla to do chores around the palace that were beneath her, trying to make the young princess feel small. "Clean the gardens, Marilla. You should learn your place," Selina said one day, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Marilla was hurt, but did not show it. She had been taught by her mother to never let others see her pain, but inside she felt the weight of Selina's cruelty, and it grew harder to ignore with each passing day. Now, from this point, the story will be continued in the next part.